First, I'm going to read a statement that we issued just a little while ago. The Secretary General welcomes the continued implementation of the ceasefire in Gaza, based on the proposal by U.S. President Donald J. Trump, including the release of Israeli hostages and Palestinian detainees. He commends the governments of Qatar, Egypt, the United States, and Turkey for their persistent mediation efforts and acknowledges the indispensable role of the International Committee of the Red Cross in ensuring that all releases take place safely and humanely. With the ceasefire in effect, the people of Gaza and Israel are beginning to glimpse the fragile hope of calm after months of devastation. The United Nations and its partners are rapidly scaling up operations across Gaza. UN agencies are reaching communities in areas that were cut off for months, delivering life-saving assistance. These efforts mark an essential first step in stabilizing conditions and restoring basic human dignity, but the needs remain vast, and sustained access and funding are critical. The Secretary General calls on all parties to consolidate the ceasefire and transform it into lasting peace. He appeals to regional and international actors to seize this moment of respite, to restart a credible political process that can deliver the outcome of two independent, sovereign, democratic states, Israel and Palestine, living side by side in peace and security within their secure and recognized borders, on the basis of pre-1967 lines, with Jerusalem as the capital of both states, in line with international law, UN resolutions, and other relevant agreements. Mr. Guterres made a phone call this morning from Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, where he's attending the summit underway today, in which he told Israeli President Isaac Herzog that he welcomed the release of the remaining live Israeli hostages from Gaza. The Secretary General recalled the many meetings he had with hostage families and survivors, during which he heard of their unbearable pain. Regarding the humanitarian situation, the Emergency Relief Coordinator Tom Fletcher today allocated an additional $11 million from the Central Emergency Response Fund to support the immediate scale-up of humanitarian operations in Gaza ahead of winter. This follows last week's $9 million allocation to ensure sufficient fuel supplies to keep life-saving services running across the Strip, bringing total recent SURF funding for Gaza to $20 million. Mr. Fletcher warned that without fresh contributions to SURF, critical aid cannot keep flowing to people who rely on it. Speaking from Sharm el-Sheikh ahead of the summit in Egypt today, Mr. Fletcher stressed that this is a moment of precarious hope for so many Israelis and Palestinians, and he added that the humanitarian scale-up planned by the UN and our partners in Gaza is underway. Meanwhile, the Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs says that under the humanitarian plan for the initial 60 days of the ceasefire, the UN and our partners will deliver life-saving assistance and services to people across the Strip, wherever they need our support, including food, water, health services, shelter supplies, hygiene items, protection support, and other critical help. Our colleagues from the UN 2720 mechanism report that they have secured Israeli approval for more aid, bringing our cleared pipeline to 190,000 metric tons as of yesterday. These supplies are across the region in Jordan, Egypt, Israel, Cyprus, and the West Bank, and are ready to move. Some is already on the way. Yesterday, OCHA reported that for the first time since March, cooking gas entered the Strip. More tents for displaced families, frozen meat, fresh fruit, flour, and medicines also crossed into Gaza throughout the day. Inside Gaza, humanitarians are now able to move more easily in many areas, and so our teams are reaching people in places that have been cut off for up to several months. With the easing of movement and access restrictions in multiple places, we were able to pre-position medical and emergency supplies where they are needed most and assess key roads for explosive hazards. Our partners are working to increase production of meals in community kitchens in the north, as thousands of people have already returned to that part of Gaza. The UN and our partners are helping kitchens and bakeries serve hundreds of thousands of meals in bread bundles every day, and we are trucking drinking water to places where people are staying. From Friday until yesterday, our colleagues monitoring displacement recorded nearly 310,000 movements of people from southern to northern Gaza, and about 23,000 movements in other directions. This is just the beginning. As part of our plan for the first 60 days of the ceasefire, the UN and our partners will expand the scale and scope of our operations to deliver life-saving aid and services to virtually everyone across Gaza.
Has been cleared by Israel to enter into Gaza or not?
Yes, that's the point. We have the clearance necessary to bring all that aid into Gaza, and that has been agreed to with the Israeli authorities.
And that aid is currently in various locations outside of Gaza right now.
Yeah, those are the locations I mentioned.
Right.
Those include the West Bank, Israel, Egypt, also Cyprus, and Jordan, and we're trying to bring those in.
And when that aid gets to the border to cross into Gaza, since it's been cleared, does that mean that it goes right in, or is Israel still reserved the right to then re-clear it, if you will?
Well, as you know, over the past 2 years, we've had a problem in terms of having to deal with unloading and then reloading them onto different trucks. We're trying to expedite the process, but we're still working the necessary arrangements out with our Israeli counterparts in Kogat. But now that we have the clearance, we're trying to move as swiftly as possible to get it all in.
Hi, Farhan. Is the Secretary General aware about the situation?